joining us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Maria Hinojosa, founder of Futuro Media and an MSNBC political analyst, and as an aside, one of the people that I most admire. Maria, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Good to see you too.
Maria, let's kind of basing on this new attempt on the Senate to bring back up that immigration bill. Is there any possibility of immigration reform in the real sense, even piecemeal, could be a part of the discussion on Capitol Hill and could be something that could have an impact positively on our country?
Jose, the way you're talking, it makes me think of like, well, that was years ago when maybe that might have happened. Maybe even more than a decade ago that would have happened. We can't give up, right, in terms of understanding the role of the United States in worldwide issues of immigration. What does the United States stand for? We are a country of immigrants with the Statue of Liberty. So those are the big issues. But right now, what's happening in Capitol Hill, sadly, is yet again another kind of tossing the football around. Jose, and my whole thing is that the economy is such an important conversation right now. You know what would happen if, for example, the 10, 11 million undocumented immigrants now were all given a pathway to citizenship? It would affirm the American economy. It would grow the American economy.
These are the ones who have been here many times, many of them for decades, that essentially have been vetted. They're contributing to our economy from an underground economy level.
Correct. Also, what's interesting, Jose, about the border, because you used that word vetted. So what's happening on the border right now, I just got back recently, is that people are giving themselves over to the Border Patrol. You remember how when we reported this, it was you run away from the Border Patrol, right? That's not happening, Jose. La gente se está entregando. They are literally crossing. They're looking for the Border Patrol to say, take me, with hands up, by the way. So this notion of criminal element, underground, trying to sneak in, no. What is inept, Jose, and you and I know this because we've been around for a while, is how is it possible that an organization like the Border Patrol still doesn't know what it's doing? That still the only thing that they can seem to do is gather up, disperse, bring in some migrants, hold them. It's a complete confusion, Jose. It's the largest law enforcement agency in the country.
Why is there no clear, first of all, clear statement of law, of policy, and then of basic humanity?
Well, you know, I would say this to President Joe Biden, right? This is a moment for him because what's happening in Capitol Hill is just impossible. Yes, an executive order. Actually, yes, Joe Biden saying, I'm not buying into the narrative of immigrants and refugees being a threat. We know that they're actually good for our country. That's why I'm putting through a comprehensive immigration reform executive order, bring everybody on. It would change the narrative of our country.
You know that the Republicans, 5 seconds after that, would go right to the courts.
Yeah, but the thing is that all of the data shows what we know. Immigrants help the American economy, and they are not bringing crime. The data.
Maria, I know that you just the beginning of June, less than 2 weeks, there are presidential elections in Mexico. I know you just got back from there. You interviewed both of the candidates. Why is what's going on in Mexico important to us here?
Well, so here's the big question, Jose. Which is the more machista country? The country, Mexico, that will elect a woman.
Both of the candidates are women.
Both of the top candidates are women. Or the United States? Which country's more macho? I would say right now the United States is more macho. And Mexico seems to be on the road of actually understanding women's empowerment, feminism, interesting political arguments.
Yeah.
More than likely, Claudia Sheinbaum will be the winner.
Of the ruling
party, Morena party. Xochitl Gálvez, who is supported by a strange coalition of the PRI and the PAN.
It's like a total opposition.
It would be like the Republicans and the Democrats coming together to support a candidate. It's completely strange. And in my hour-long interview with her, this is going to be somewhat controversial, but my takeaway was that she's kind of like the Sarah Palin, the center-left Sarah Palin of Mexico, in the sense of kind of like, I'm new, I'm shiny, I'm bright, but what is there in terms of policy that she can actually bring to the country? I think it's going to be Claudia. And what happens with a woman president vis-a-vis the United States and having either Donald Trump or Joe Biden as president? It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I just hope that somehow, some way, Mexico can come out of the tinieblas, the darkness of the cartel corruption and the destruction of people that it has been in charge of, and that corruption and that impunity, all these issues that are so almost part of, unfortunately, the political culture of a country that is so extraordinary.
So extraordinary, but yet in Mexico, at least they're having that conversation, Jose.
Yeah.
They're talking about militarization. They're talking about the femicides. They're talking about the violence against women, about authoritarianism.
Yeah.
In our country, that's not what we're talking about. So I never thought, Jose, that I would say, as a Mexican immigrant, right, that politically Mexico is looking more and more like a North Star. I'm going to say that. It is. I'm fascinated by it.
María Hinojosa, muchas gracias, amiga.
Igual.
Siempre un placer verte. Te
Gracias.
tengo mucha admiración.
Igual.
Thanks.